After leaving Vienna, the Danube begins to forget itself. It spills over its banks, spreading into a labyrinth of forgotten channels. The land sinks, becoming a wilderness of water and whispering willow bushes. For miles, there is only this, a vast, trembling plain of gray-green, a landscape that seems to breathe with a life of its own. My friend, a steady and unimaginative Swede, and I entered this drowned world in our canoe, carried on the swollen breast of a summer flood. The silence that fell upon us was not peaceful. It was heavy. It was watchful. The willows, endless and supple, bowed and shivered in the wind, their leaves showing silver then dark, like the turning of a million hidden faces. We joked nervously that we ought to have a passport for such a place. We felt, unmistakably, like intruders. We made camp on a small, sandy island as the wind grew into a gale. That evening, odd things happened. We saw a black shape tumbling in the current, a drowned man. We thought until it righted itself and became an otter, staring at us with bright, knowing eyes. Then, a boatman, a flash of movement on the far, turbulent shore. He stood upright, ferried by the furious water, and as he passed he turned and shouted something lost to the wind, his arms making frantic, unmistakable signs of the cross in our direction before he was swallowed by the crimson sunset and the willows. The Swede tried to laugh it off. Superstition, he said, but his laughter was thin, and a new caution had entered his eyes. The night came, and with it, the wind screamed like something dying. I lay awake, and a peculiar dread took root in me, a dread focused entirely on those countless willows. They were not just plants, they were a host, an audience, driven by a restlessness. I left the tent. The moon was high, and I saw them, rising from the very heart of the willow thickets, immense figures of dull bronze, fluid and column-like, spiraling soundlessly up into the night sky. They were not human, not anything I could name. A profound, terrifying awe filled me. This was not scenery. This was a presence. The wind slapped me, breaking the trance, and I crawled back to the tent, cold fear now washing away the wonder. The night wore on with strange sounds, a multitudinous pattering on the canvas, a sense of immense pressure weighing down upon us. At dawn, I made a chilling discovery. The island was smaller, the river hungrier, and the willows. They had moved. They stood perceptibly closer to our tent. Worse was to come. Our steering paddle was missing. The canoe had a long, neat tear in its hull. A loaf of bread had vanished from our provision sack. The practical world was unraveling. My Swede friend finally spoke his fear aloud, his voice low and urgent. "We have strayed into a place where the borders are thin," he whispered. "They are aware of us. They feel our minds. Our only hope is not to think, not to attract their attention." A new sound now underlay everything, a constant, low humming, like a great muted gong struck under the earth or in the sky. It was the sound of that other place, he said, leaking through. We tried to maintain routine, to cling to normalcy. But that second night, while gathering firewood, we saw it, a dark, shifting mass near our campfire. Something large and coiled and shadowy that seemed to move against the wind. We fled in blind panic, stumbling back to the tent. When we dared look again, the thing was gone. But all around the tent, in the soft sand, were huge, perfectly formed funnel-shaped holes, as if something massive had spiraled down, probing for us. Exhaustion eventually claimed us. I awoke later to silence. The terrible humming had stopped, and my friend was gone. I found him at the very tip of the island, standing rigid, 1 foot in the black, rushing water. His eyes were blank. I fought him, pulling him back from the edge with all my strength. He raved about going inside and taking the way of the water before he suddenly went limp. As he collapsed, he murmured, "It's over. They've found another victim." He slept then, a deep and natural sleep. At morning, the sun was bright, the wind still. The river had fallen. It felt, unbelievably, like just another day. We went to the shore, and there it was, caught in the roots. The body of a peasant, drowned, freshly washed up. We approached to bury it. As we accidentally touched the cold flesh, a violent humming erupted from it, a loud, vibrating buzz that shot upwards into the clear sky and faded away. The current shifted, turning the body over, and we saw. The face and chest were pocked with dozens of small, neat, funnel-shaped hollows, an exact, horrifying match for the pits in the sand around our tent. The Swede fell to his knees. He said only 2 words, "Their mark." The river took the corpse then, pulling it free. It rolled into the main current and was swept away, turning over and over like a sleeping creature, until it vanished from sight. We stood on the quiet bank, surrounded by the endless, whispering willows. The danger had passed. We were spared, but we had seen the frontier of another world, and we would never forget the price of crossing it, or the look of the thing that had paid our toll.